Welcome back everyone to Showbiz India, and today it is indeed my pleasure to welcome the very acclaimed Deepa Mehta once again to Showbiz India and to Los Angeles. It's always nice to see you.
It's always a pleasure to be here and to meet you again.
Thank you.
I've seen you for some time.
Yes, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. We saw your film last night at the closing of the Indian Film Festival of Los Angeles. You've had a history with them. How was it last night for you with all the crowd? It was immensely crowded.
It was wonderful. I mean, I think that however many films you made, it doesn't preclude the fact that you're always nervous before a first-time screening.
Really?
No, absolutely. I mean, I at least for me, I don't walk around and saying, okay, everything's fine or it will be what it'll be. But I'm always nervous because, you don't make, when you make a film, you make it for an audience. You might make it for yourself, but you hope that the film will get an audience. But you certainly don't make it for seeing it in your living room by yourself on your DVD. So each time there is an opening, I must say I get nervous. And it was great yesterday. It was packed house, and people really responded to it emotionally, which was very moving, of course.
Two babies in her hands, two lives in her power. She did it for Joe, her own private revolutionary act. Love Me, Joe was in Mary's mind. And then it was done.
I enjoyed the film thoroughly. A very deep film, very layered. How difficult was this to direct?
Every film is difficult to direct. I mean, I think that, a scale of the film has nothing to do with how tough it is to direct it, because even with a small film, what you have to give to it as a director, which is your focus, your energy, your passion, your compassion, your empathy, is huge. This was, in the scale of Midnight's Children is a big one. It's 60 years of post-colonial history of India, but the journey of a young man, which reflects the journey of India in search for his identity, in search for his family, in search for his home, a person in exile in many ways, a person who is reinventing himself all the time, I think really spoke to me and will speak to many people, because it's the experience of people who've migrated or whose parents have migrated. We leave a country behind, and yet we take a lot of it with us. And who are we? Are you an Indo-American? Are you an American? Are you an American who has Indian roots? So are you a Canadian? Are you Australian? This is something that all of us, in some form or the other, struggle with. So I think Salim's journey in Midnight's Children really reflects the journey of the diaspora to a large degree.
The rich need to become poor and the poor rich.
Son of a rich boy. Salim has the greatest gift of all. He can bring us all together. You can make yourself bigger and smaller, and you can fly.
The casting of the film was fantastic. How involved did you get in your casting?
It is something that I really, really enjoy. I mean, I've always enjoyed working with the actors, because I really respect actors. I feel they must have a lot of courage. I mean, I'd never be able to, deal with myself being 30 foot high somewhere on a screen and to be judged all the time with every show. And you can't do anything about it, like in a theater, you can do a play and then somebody can say, oh, maybe you should do this part differently. And then for the next show, you can do it differently. In a film, it's cast in stone. So, but I love working with actors, and I've always cast my own films. But I've had help in this and in Water, and in fact, and even in Earth, by Uma Dukuna, who's really helped me cast the unusual, smaller roles and some of the bigger roles. She's wonderful.
I think she was there last night.
Yes, and it was great because I got an opportunity to acknowledge her.
Where is she, your daughter?
She's standing behind the sheet like a good girl.
But Ghani Sahab, how will I examine her without seeing her?
Ah, I can see your confusion. You Europe return chappies forget certain things. My daughter is not going to flaunt her body under the nose of any Tom, Dick, or for that matter, Aziz. You will specify the portion that you want to examine.
Midnight Children, when you read the book, did you know immediately you wanted to make this into a film?
Oh no, I mean I read the book in 1983 and I remember just walking around Delhi and being totally dazed because it had such an impact on me, you know, the language, the narrative. As Indians, you know, we've had many films and many books about what it was like in India before the British left. So you have biographies of Gandhi, Nehru, books, movies, Bhagat Singh. I mean, everything comes, you know, an independence movement. But there's very little, actually pictorially or even literary at that point about what happened once we did regain our independence. So it had a huge impact on me.
And of course, these charming young ladies of yours have also seen nothing.
And if we should see something, Major Zulfikar, what should we do?
Ah, Miss Emerald, naturally you should inform your father, who will then alert me, my office, of the military cantonment.
Yes, of course.
Of course. Thank you so much, Major.
Yes.
Thank you, Major.
Sir, ladies, madam. Did you see that girl, Captain?
Yes, sir.
That captain is the girl I intend to marry.
Yes, sir.
Can you describe the process of adapting a novel into a movie?
Well, this is not the first time that we've adapted a novel into a movie. I did a film called Earth, which was based on the wonderful novel by Babsi Silva called Ice Candy Man. And I loved working with Babsi, and I think that you know, it was, writers, and again, writers are really special, and I like working with writers as much as I like working with actors because they usually are so insular, you know, they're so used to working by themselves in a small room or wherever, and then they have to hand over something that they've protected, and so to gain their trust and for them to even for me to realize that they trust me enough with their work was a wonderful process. And that's the same way it was with Salman Rushdie. I mean, he was generous. He realized that once he'd given me his book that, you know, it would be, he better trust me. I mean, otherwise he wouldn't have given it to me. And the process of working together was a marvelous one. Very early on, I'd said, Salman, you know, you must write the screenplay. And he did not want to write it at all. He said, I've done it, I've done the book, I don't want to revisit it. But I felt that, you know, the way he could be really ruthless with his own book, saying that these are the chapters we should eliminate, these are the characters you have to eliminate, because you can't make a film totally exactly like the book, otherwise it would be 10 hours long, you know. It's impossible. So, you know, every book that's been adapted into a film, whether it was Ice Candy Man, whether it's this, whether it was, you know, I don't know, whichever, they've always had to be some characters that you have to eliminate, some storylines that you pay more focus on. So very early we decided, both of us decided what was the storyline we were going to follow.
No. Tell me a poem. One of yours.
No, you wouldn't like it, okay?
You must. The best one you ever wrote.
It's got no rhymes. It's free verse.
Does it at least have a name?
Yes.
So, what is it?
Mumtaz.
You stayed very true to the book.
It's very true to the essence of the book. Yes. I mean, the narrative, the storyline is exactly the same. There are many characters that just don't exist, you know. And there are many things that, of course, have to be condensed. And there are many things that are not in the book, actually, that are in the film. So that's interesting. You know.
And so it came to pass that without passport or permit, I returned in Parvati's basket of invisibility to India. My India, the land of my birth.
Now you've shot all over. You were just mentioning Sri Lanka, Pakistan, India. That must have been a mammoth task. How challenging was that?
That's very challenging. I mean, you know, they say a film is made in the pre-production. That means the preparation of a film before you start shooting is where all the work is done. Once you start shooting a film, it's like a runaway train. Before you know it, it's finished. But the months and the energy it takes to actually do the work to prepare for the film to start shooting is enormous. So that took about 6 months of very, and that's a collaborative effort. A wonderful producer in David Hamilton, Deepa Mehta, my brother, who's a filmmaker. But I had to ask him that, Deep, you have to do the production design, because he's a photojournalist as well, and he's got a terrific eye. Because it's India from 1912, and it's even Karachi, and it's even Srinagar, and it's Bombay, and it's Agra, and to 1977 to Mrs. Gandhi's office. I mean, it had to be really, really accurate. So that's when you do all the work, and that's tough. There's 64 locations, and that's huge.
Hundreds of years of decent, honourable government, and then all of a sudden it's up and off.
People need each other. We have to stay together now. Everything else is breaking apart.
Martial law is imposed with immediate effect. Therefore, on my command, we assume control of the state.
So what would you say was your most challenging part of making this film?
Making the film, in fact, one would think that the most challenging part, because there are many scenes where where you see the massacre in Bangladesh, which was horrific. I mean, we had a cast of thousands all acting as if they were dead and massacred and butchered. I mean, that was a very tough scene. The victory parade in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, where they're celebrating the Indian Army's triumph, that was tough, because again, we had about 3,000 extras, and elephants and armored cars and tanks, and those are all very difficult. But for me, it's the sometimes the emotional scenes, even though they might be with two people, are extremely, extremely tough.
Who are you? Woman?
I'm the witch. Another midnight's child.
You. I have nothing to say to you. I'm leaving.
Come back to me.
How would you say, what genre does this film fall under?
It's a historical drama. I mean, Lawrence of Arabia is a historical drama, Leopard. Dr. Zhivago is also more Dr. Zhivago, because it's history as well as a family, and those are all the same.
So I enjoyed especially the music of the film.
Oh, I'm so glad. I love the music too. Nitin Sawhney is just absolutely brilliant. He composed the music and he's just superb.
And in conclusion, what can we look forward to next from you?
Well, I think I'm going to sleep for 6 months.
You deserve it.
I really deserve it. No, seriously, I mean, there are a couple of things that are happening. But, I think that it's so tough to make films, because you have to give so much of yourself, and so if I commit to a film, I really want to be clear-headed and know, okay, I'm going to spend the next 4 years of my life doing this, and I better be really, I better know how passionate I am about it, because it's such a commitment. So I'll make that decision after I rest a bit.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to seeing your work again and again, and once again, congratulations for a beautiful film.
Thank you so much.
A child and a country were born at midnight, once upon a time.